Naomi Miller, Chair of the Select Board, calling this meeting of the Shaftsbury Select Board to order. Is there anything on the agenda with which anybody has a conflict of interest?
No.
Okay. We have a couple of sets of minutes to go over. Did everybody get a chance to review them?
You did.
Okay, so May 6th, does anybody have any, could I have a motion? Whoops, it's hot. Can I have a motion to consider the minutes of May 6th?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Tony. Second by Tony. Anything people feel needs amending in this set of minutes? No? Okay. All in favor of their passage as is? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 500. And can I have a motion to look at the May 20th meeting minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Mike and Tony. Okay, any changes to be made to this?
No.
No? All looks good? Mm-hmm. Good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay. Thank you. Passed 5-5. Okey doke. Great. So, now the warrants.
There's a water warrant and a payroll warrant in there
There's
as well.
two in there.
There's a warrant, and a payroll warrant?
A water warrant and a payroll warrant.
Okay.
Say that fast.
I'm not going to.
A water warrant. Okay. And I'm not sitting next to Tony, so he can't coach me. So, this is check warrant number 45, for a total of $39,324.75. Could I have a motion? Check warrant report 45.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Mike and Tony. All right. We have a Blue Cross Blue Shield of Southern Vermont check for $14,258.27. That is for?
Town clerk health insurance premium, the DPWs, and town administrators, our portion of the employment healthcare.
And Casella for $9,203.46.
Yeah, that's the transfer station thing, moving things, transferring.
Transferring, actually.
Transferring out of the transfer station.
Great. Okay. We have Creek Gravel and Land Development for $900 for sand. Is that just a standard?
Which, say it again, Naomi?
Creek Gravel and Land Development?
Yeah, that's sand for the DPW, the roads.
Okay. Lakes Region Fire Apparatus for $1,584.
That is for the fire department for foam.
For foam.
Foam, yeah. It's expensive foam.
Okay, RCS Consulting for $1,221.30.
RCS, it's on like 2 pages, I think. Which one was it? Because I think they had a couple.
Well, it's the first RCS, I think. Right now, I'm just going for those over 12.
Yours are in a different, let's see, there's one for a new laptop setup for moi. And then let me see if there's, oh, that big one. That's their contract fee, system maintenance and such. All of the, they're like 25 computer systems for employees and going through doing maintenance.
Cool.
Updating.
Okay. Great. We have one for 2,800 to Sycamore Landscaping.
That one is for, I was just talking about
Yeah.
it.
Tree stuff, right?
This is annual
Yeah.
contract split up.
Yeah, it's mowing and tree removal on contract for the cemeteries.
For the cemeteries.
His mowing contract split up annually,
Right.
so he gets income all year, but it was approved for a 3-year contract, so.
I see. So he does our trees and he also does our cemetery.
Well, he
mowing.
does our cemetery mowing contract. He does trimming, but if the trees are hired out, so it's just, I think it was like written trees in the contract, but he does small trimming trees, bushes and things like that.
Thank you. Okay, Wallingford crushed stone, 2,866.37. And that's for crushed stone. So-
Crushed stone, sure is. Gravel, to be exact.
Okay. So, any questions on this? No? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks. 500. And then we have a water warrant number 2. Can I have a, oh, for 377.83. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Oh,
I think that Brad said second first.
yeah, no, it's good. Just helping Shelley out.
That's
Okay,
right.
so-
And make sure we're speaking loudly enough because she does have trouble sometimes hearing the minutes.
Okay. This, Paula, do you want to help me with this?
That's a bank transfer to pay our water bills for here and the fire department. Rather than writing a check to myself and then depositing it, I do a transfer.
I see. Well, thank you, Melanie. Okay. 755.66, and that's, right?
No, that was 300 and change.
Oh, your part, yes. Sorry.
It's right here, this yellow highlighter.
377. So what's the 755.66?
I included the journal entry, so if it's double that, that's because it's it's probably more accounting than you're really interested in. It's
Okay.
it's a due to, due from, because it's a check drawn on the general fund that is being paid out of the 260 water fund.
Great. Thank you. Okay. 377.83. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Oh, we did this. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah. And then we have payroll warrant 24 for $27,756.03.
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Oh my gosh, it's like
Tony,
the
thank
eyes,
you.
full hands Luke up here, my goodness.
Okay. There's a lot of things over 1,000 here.
We don't need
We don't usually read.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, all in favor of signing this warrant that totals $28,515.78?
Aye.
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 Thanks. There we go. This can go back.
We kind of did it all in pieces.
Announcements.
I have one. I just wanted to thank everybody for coming out for the Memorial Day Parade. We had a lovely gathering of veterans, but also community members, and to everybody who came out along the parade route to say hello. It was wonderful to see all our neighbors. We had a beautiful day. So thank you, everybody. And we'll be back again in 2 years.
Thank Marlene.
And yes, thank you,
Yeah.
Tony, for
Yes.
saying thank you to Marlene and to our veterans community.
Yeah.
Victor Harwood leads that committee, and they did a great job.
Yep.
Great, great, thanks. Any other announcements anybody has? No? Okay. Melanie, the treasurer's report.
Public announcements? I mean,
No, the public comments are actually here after you.
oh, okay. And we look at-
We're switching it up in the world.
That's fine. I can get home and make dinner.
Yes, that's always a good thing.
Okay, can we look at the cash flow first, please?
We could if I could click on it, right?
Okay, so most of this we've already talked about. You can see there's delinquent taxes there. I think we already discussed. Holly also gave me a check today that I'll deposit tomorrow for another over $10,000, I believe.
Wow.
Every little bit helps this time of year, as I always say. We're also, Paula tells me that we got the other tax reconciliation check today from Mount Anthony, so that's another $50,000. So we're in pretty good shape for cash until tax payments start coming in. I've spoken to Gina, and it looks like we're on track to be around the same schedule of the last few years, which means getting out tax bills, I hope in August or early in September, which is that's good timing for us. So everything's looking pretty good. I've spoken to the bank already about getting a line of credit if we need to. It's possible that we won't need to do that this year. We didn't 2 years ago or 3 years ago. We did use it just for one draw. You know, it'd be nice not to have to do it this year if we don't have to, because interest rates are considerably higher than they have been in other years we've done that. So I don't like to see our cash get below $100,000. You can see right now we're sitting at just below $200,000 to get us through the next couple of months. But as I said, we've got the $50,000 check coming from Mount Anthony, as well as some other delinquent tax money. So I'll keep a very close eye on it, but as of right now, it's looking pretty good. If you want to go down to the bottom half of, can we go to just the very bottom of the cash flow? Where we're looking at there, thank you. So you can see that our revenue, I say this every time, our revenue is already over 100%. That's because that's the flip side of the interest that I was just talking about. I think if you look at the line-by-line budget comparison, that's what jumps out at you is the interest. I think that accounts for the entire amount over 100% in our revenues. There are some other variables, but that is enough to explain it right there. We've also spent 95% of our expenditures, which means we'll probably come in a little bit above 100% by the end of the month. But so far, I think that's for understood reasons, and we're in good shape for the end of the fiscal year. We will not have the auditors coming in before June 30th, which we have had in past years, but they are on schedule to do our audit as usual, and we'll see them. I believe they're coming in August. Any questions about any of the cash flow stuff? Okay, we can take a real quick look at the reserves then. Not much going on except for water payments coming in. You can see that's at the 260 line. That's going to be a big number probably by the next report, because the water bills are out right now. I think they're due June 18th, so I'll be busy processing those. Joanne, who's the bookkeeper for water, had a really rocky transition to the Nemrick cloud, so the bills went out a little bit later than expected, and she's really having. She was describing to me what she has to go through, and it's pretty awful. And she's going to Nemrick is going to have to walk her through getting her system up the way it was before the transition. It's really a lot. And she's, anyway, poor Joanne, if you can spare her a thought, it's been kind of a nightmare for her. That restoration fund, if you see at the 350 line, that is the portion of Marlene's fees that get transferred over a per page of recording fees to for the restoration fund. I do that every time I put her cash in the money. There's a transfer that happens at the same time. Any questions about any of that?
Can we just go over what the 12,000 for ARPA funding?
Oh, sure. That was a check that we wrote. Now, what was that for? We talked about it at a previous
Was that
meeting.
the shed for the
It could
transfer
very well-
session?
It could be, that could be right.
It seems about that
Yeah.
amount, maybe.
I think you're right, yeah. So when we, on a previous warrant, you signed a payment that actually was drawn from the ARPA fund. So when I had to make the general fund whole for that money, that's where it came out of. That's a good question.
Thank you.
And it's there now, so you can see it at the transfer station.
Yeah.
The very
Your
nice
ARPA money at work.
gazoo. So everybody in the town can go see the new
And-
transfer station.
And as part of that, Shelley is now going to have a cash register, which our auditors have been asking for as long as there have been auditors. I think 8 years they've been asking for that. So that's, they're going to be very, very happy this year. Any other questions about any of that? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okey-doke. Public comments. I guess the public who are here are all here for the DPW component of this meeting, huh? Because no comments on anything else? Okay.
I have Mike's DPW report.
Oh, good.
You do?
Yes. Are you ready for it?
Yes, sure.
He said they're working really hard, grading the roads all over the place. They have 2 graders running all the time, and they're working on heavily mowing all over town. And that's all he has right now.
They still need a part-time person.
Right.
So if anyone knows, there should have been an announcements, I guess, of a college kid, high school person, summer job,
Okay.
mowing lawns, call me, email me, or Mike.
Great.
Have him apply, yeah.
Yeah, please apply.
Thank you, Paula. All right. So we're going to open bids for the paving of White Creek Road, right? I nenever paid attention to how this was done.
Yeah.
I just,
Well, you read who it's,
all right,
Right there.
you read who it's from.
I just open it and read it aloud. Eh?
Yep, and who it's from and what the amount is.
Okay, so this is from Springfield Paving.
And these are the bids for the White Creek Road paving.
Yes.
Just so that people, it's on the
Mike was
books.
going to check into that because he wasn't happy with the report on White Creek Road. I thought he was going to,
What
There was
report?
an MSK engineer that looked at it, and
oh,
then
okay.
another person looked at it, and I forget where he was with it, but I think it was the MSK recommendations,
Okay.
I think. Or that might be something else. It
No,
might be
that sounds-
confusing. It was something else.
Well,
But this portion of that road, that specific road.
I think it was before or after that,
Yeah.
the part he was talking about that.
okay. So Springfield Paving is bidding on this job for $215,234.80. This is from Peckham Industries. They are bidding on it for $266,168.
So Mike usually
Typically takes a look at them, and then he comes back with a recommendation.
Thanks. Okay. Let's send this back to Paula. Okay. Anything else about DPW? Anybody want to ask anything else about that before we move on to the brainstorming component? Okay. So, let me just say that although this meeting was, part of this meeting, brainstorming discussion of state guidelines on road maintenance, was originally going to be a discussion with Mike Yanati. I decided to keep it on the agenda even though he couldn't be here, because it seems pretty clear that this could use a second discussion anyway. So I hope you're not disappointed about having come and Mike isn't here. But how I am imagining this is, we want to hear your thoughts, your brainstorming about what have been some of the issues as you've seen them in the way the roads are being maintained in relation to the state guideline map that we map of the guidelines that we posted on the website. And then Mike will listen to this because it's being recorded, right? And then we'll hold another meeting, probably not at a regular select board time, for him to have had a chance to think about people's concerns and thoughts and to discuss it in more depth. Okay? So it's a sort of two-stage process, and I think that's going to work really well. I hope it's going to work really well, that there's a two-stage process. So now I'm throwing this open to people to talk about the roads.
Hi, I'm Roberta Lynch Carroll, and I live on Cold Spring Road.
Project loud, or you can come up if you don't mind.
Because our speaker for the minutes is right here. Okay.
Okay, does that work?
Yes, loudly.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, thank you.
I'm Roberta Lynch Carroll, and I live on Cold Spring Road. And I have brought some of my concerns about the maintenance of our roads to this board and to the town manager before. Hopefully not so often that I became annoying. I have a lot of concerns about the safety of our roads as a result of the way they're being maintained. And my concerns probably start, and I've brought this up before, with the size of the ditches that are dug around our town. And that's when I found out from the board last fall that the state recommends ditches that are 2 by 2 feet, because I had noted that that's the type of ditches I had seen in North Bennington and Arlington and Manchester. So it made me more confused about why we were digging these gargantuan ditches in Shaftsbury. I think the size of these ditches are hazardous to pedestrians and bikers and cars. As a result of these ditches, the shoulders of our roads have also been eliminated. And I thank you for putting all this information up on the website. This is a quote I particularly enjoyed. It says that the ditches are an integral part of the shoulders are a integral part of our roads. And they spell out the shoulders should be 2 feet wide, a minimum of 2 feet wide. But I feel with the size of our ditches, we've eliminated most of the shoulders of the road. And on our beautiful dirt roads, when we have to pass a large truck, a dump truck, a tractor, a hay wagon, a tractor trailer. We've lost the ability to do that. And because of the size of the ditches, I, for one, don't dare hug the edge of that ditch because it's so deep and wide. I feel like if my car slipped into that ditch, it would be dangerous to me, wreck my car, or my car could flip. And I don't understand why this has been a good practice and why we didn't adhere to what the state was recommending.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
I'll comment on that. My name's Ron Jennings. I work for the Highway Department for 10 years, 11 years. And I believe that when we ditch the roads, we keep the same width of the road as it was originally. We dig past outside that. When we ditch a road, when I was there, when we were ditching roads, it was the same width, the road was the same width as what it was before we ditched it. We go deep, we go a little deeper at times because we have 76 miles of roads to ditch and we can't get back to it right away. So we go a little deeper so we have time to come back to it so it doesn't fill in for, create an issue with the road. That's my thought on the ditching. I mean, they never made the roads narrower when they ditched. They always stayed to the shoulder and pulled that in.
So the ditch comes from
Outside of the...
outside the shoulder?
Outside the shoulder.
And then what happens when there's trees there?
Either you cut the trees or you dig around them. Up by Martha's, you can see the ditch in and out around the trees. What I've learned in the past is that the road needs air to have it hold up. When you have all these trees over the road, next to the road, it's not getting the air. And it needs the air to breathe, to get air to it, to dry it out or whatever. I never thought about it, but pavement is especially important to have air get to it. If you notice around a lot of the spots where the pavement seems to be breaking up, it's got a big canopy over it, so it's not getting the airflow that it needs to dry up. My experience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you want to say from your experience yet?
I mean, I think Mike has done an incredible job making the road safer and better. They're holding up better. They're not getting the mud season that we've had. I don't know if it's because we haven't had the snow or whatever in his behalf. But I think the roads have made a huge improvements in the past 5 years that he's been here.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I just want to say I also appreciated you giving the information, giving us the ability to read the state.
Can you just say your name?
My name is Kirk Jackson. I live also on Cold Spring Road. And, but I would suggest respectfully that everyone here read what you put online about canopies, how they're good, about how trees soak up wetness and help with erosion. And I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not making any sort of aspersion or anything like that. I'm just saying that I enjoyed that reading. And so I just think that and when Mike looks at this whole thing, to go to that section of what you shared with us, of the state guidelines and the positiveness, the reason why, and it even talks about the economic reason, as in tourism and leaf peepers and all the rest of it.
Okay. Thank you. Do you have a page number where that starts that you want to direct him to?
I did write some page numbers down, but I don't think I wrote that one down.
46.
Okay, 40, yeah, trees are good, page 46.
Wow, impressive, Mike.
Yeah, it's a balance to be struck, you know, you can have too many trees in the winter, it can be, you know, when we talk about the roads, it's a 50-foot town right-of-way. So you have to stand in the middle of the road where it exists today, not where it existed maybe 100 years ago or 100 years hence. And so you have 25 feet from both sides. So when we have the road, shoulder, the ditch, and then whatever's left over is are the trees that are under the control of the town. Mm-hmm. So we just have to be careful of how little we're really talking about when we talk about that. There could be trees on the other side of that key that are belong to the landowner, but the town is really only responsible for a very thin strip along any given road. So.
Mm-hmm. And roads change.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
They sure do.
They drift.
Yeah, they drift from side to side, and the middle of them drifts.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's drifting sides.
And with
Go
all
ahead.
due respect, Ron, I still believe that a lot of our shoulders have been eliminated, and all we have to do is drive around to see that. I mean, it's easy to observe. But if this is an opportunity to also talk about our trees, I think I was very impressed when I looked at the information from the state, and clearly by the number of statutes the state devotes to trees, trees are very important to the state of Vermont. And I would think, are very important to the town of Shaftsbury as well. First of all, environmentally, we desperately need our trees, even more so during climate change, I would maintain. But in addition, I'd just like to mention that in recent years, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of trees have been cut down in Shaftsbury. I know how many have been cut down just on the roads around us. And it's staggering, okay? Staggering. So I read what the state had to say about that, and they said that the trees should not be cut down unless it's via tree warden. They say that there should be public notices 15 days prior. I know that some landowners that scrambled when they saw that the trees had been 40, 50, 60 trees had been tagged along their property, okay? There's supposed to be an appeal process. I don't know of any appeal process.
You're talking about shade trees, and ornamental trees. That's very different than the trees along the sides of the roads. So.
They're not shade trees?
No.
No, those are two separate things legally.
Okay.
There's a legal
actually a thing in
definition
that document
of a shade tree.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that still doesn't address.
A lot of those trees were taken down at homeowner request on Daniels Road specifically.
Yeah, well, not where I'm talking.
Well, those trees weren't taken down, and that, there's a problem on that road. It squeezes in. The plows can't get through. On Madison Road you're talking about?
Yeah, well, that were tagged.
Right.
Yeah. And who
They were trying to
did-
correct that pinch point, in the middle of Madison Road.
This wasn't in the middle, but.
Well, it's right where that slope belt is, right by the Blair property, right across the street from Jeff Whitman's property. And Jeff Whitman was willing to give some land actually to kind of get the road to correct here because of some entrenchings on the other side of the road. So.
But who do you think should be responsible for determining how many trees?
The road foreman.
The road foreman? Okay.
And the tree warden.
And the tree warden.
Right.
In relationship with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think,
the tree warden
I
can weigh
disagree
in
with
on
your
the-
number. I don't think there are hundreds of trees that have been cut down. Hardly. And I think the other thing you need to worry about is the ash borer. I lost a great big ash tree right by the road because of ash borer. So I'm telling you, get ready because they're coming. And,
I know.
Yeah.
But it's interesting you say that, Tony, because on one section of Rowland Road, a couple of years ago, 34 trees were cut down. And I inquired about that at the time, and I was told that it's because dead trees were being cut down.
Yeah.
But they were not dead trees. I actually had some trees delivered at that time because we had a little joke running in our neighborhood about we would plant a tree for every tree cut down. And Alhana Nursery was with me. and they identified those trees as live. So I've seen that too.
Plant more trees. Plant more trees.
Doesn't the
Plant more
tree,
trees.
Saplings, remember?
You want to talk about that idea you
It
had?
was just a little idea that popped into my head when I first came here and I heard there was a concern about the trees, and I completely understand. But who would have the saplings? You said the organization who would, right?
there are several organizations.
Well, I was suggesting we could work with the
So I think there should maybe be a
BCCD.
pilot program where if trees are cut down on someone's property, even if we have the right of way, say, here are some saplings, free trees, put them anywhere you want. Like 2 saplings for every tree taken down. It's something. It might be, a cute little pilot program, but I'm like, if you want to plant more trees, there are ones you don't have to pay for. You can go to the whatever organizations we can find, and they give away saplings on Earth Day to organizations. So why not kind of pair with a community entity like that and say, we need saplings?
Not along the side of the road.
No. Put them in your backyard
Yeah.
for your
Because a
great-grandchildren.
lot of the landowners that complain about this in that particular neighborhood have hundreds of acres that are denuded of trees.
Right.
So we're
Right.
talking about this thin strip of property along the boundary,
Right.
all even in his complaints, and then hundreds of acres of cleared land.
So maybe there should be a,
So those people would be best positioned to help with this and say, okay, you took down 80 trees here, let's put 160 over here.
right. It's worth thinking about, especially if it's a sapling. You can plant so many of them.
I forget the name of that.
Doesn't
Yeah,
the
there
tree
was-
warden,
There's the Arbor Foundation.
Arbor,
But there's
yeah,
also
Arbor
the
Foundation.
Bennington County
Yes.
Conservation District often has.
the tree warden, I think under statute, has very specific guidelines for the types of trees that they're in possession of, yes, or control of, and also the ones that they have the ability to mark and things like that. And in the past, I believe that there had been a list, which I don't think had been updated for quite some time, about trees that were problematic trees that had been assessed, but I don't know if I've ever seen that list. And I don't know, we now have a new tree warden, Dave Mance III, who was appointed earlier this year to be the tree warden, and maybe that's something to reach out and just have a conversation with him about, just to, because they do have very specific statutes of what they can touch and what they can't, and I would have to look at the statutes in it, because I don't recall at the moment. I had read them at some point, but I think it's worth
Is
us.
anybody here familiar with that statute by any chance? You are, or do you?
I'll contact him and see what
Yeah,
kind we're allowed to plant.
We should contact him, but also, do you want to just tell us what the tree warden is?
The tree warden has the authority to say only under shade trees. And a shade tree is any tree that the town planted itself or the town designated as a shade tree. Now, what we've given our tree warden is the authority to go around and mark dangerous, dead, dying, huge limbs hanging out over the road, that type of thing. But for his official capacity, it's only shade trees, and the definition of a shade tree is a tree that the town has planted and put in itself, or they took and designated a tree as a town tree.
So that would limit a lot of the trees in question that we talked about, and because I don't think the town, Johnny Appleseed, the road structures.
But as I remember David Kiernan talking about the appointment of David Mance III to this position, he said that there was an extensive list of danger trees that the new tree warden was going to be updating, not having updated that list since...
It was ignored.
It was ignored.
The first one was totally ignored finally they found this Airport Road, which
Yeah.
was the most dangerous, and they took care of Airport Road, the ones that were marked, but the rest of, all the rest of the town
Yeah, there's
was
trees.
never followed through.
There's trees marked by my house that just were never touched, and they're still marked to this day. I think, so.
So maybe we can find that list again, or ask David to see kind of where he's been marking those trees. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, presumably I think he's
has
been
a
working on it with
With Jim White.
Jim White, right.
Who was our
our
former tree warden for many, many years.
It's also for the town crew, the town crew isn't looking for trees to cut down in addition to all of their other duties and work, so I think that's one thing to keep in perspective, is that they're taking care of the most dangerous situations as they arise, or situations where they're actively trying to ditch or correct road problems, but they're not just like riding around town looking for tree work, because they have enough work to do already. So, it's only really done when it has to be done, like any kind of landowner will.
I think what I've heard from some people is in the process of ditching, we are exposing tree roots. And there are clear guidelines in this state packet that says that the tree roots that are exposed are supposed to be cut back to limit damage to the tree, to ensure survivability. And that has not been happening. Along with, some of these ditches have not been seeded for erosion purposes. And that is also in the state guidelines, that they are supposed to immediately be seeded so that we limit erosion. And so hopefully we can figure out something to ensure that happens more.
Well, we need a hydro seeder, right?
Right.
And isn't that really
Well,
the way to make
that would be
it happen?
Certainly very helpful.
It's been there in the past, I don't know if it's part of, maybe we could bring in Ron. How often does the hydro seeding happen?
We've never hydro seeded. We've always seeded and then mulched over the top, blown hay over the top of it, and it worked fine. And I know Mike, at times he gets caught up with stuff, but as a rule, he gets it done within a couple weeks.
I think he does, but particularly in the steeper ditches, it looks to me like what happens is, and
on
it's
the steeper
timing.
ones.
If there's a rainstorm, it just washes it all away.
Excuse me, on the steeper ones, he has put mat down, the hemp mat down on those to hold it on the banks.
Right.
North Road, he's got it on. I'm trying to think where else we put it in. But we put that on just really steep banks where mulch and seed won't hold. Hydro seed was quite cost prohibitive. That's why we haven't gone that route.
I wonder if we should look into that. And maybe there are grants to be obtained for hydro seeders, for example.
Expensive. I thought we had bought one. Did we rent one?
Not a true hydro seeder.
No, okay.
I know that the roads are seeded regularly afterwards, but it seems to me clear that a town is helpless in that regard, as is any landowner, if the rain comes immediately after one seeds. If there's a heavy rain, it just washes seeds away, as we all know. So, and I think that's what hydro seeders are for, right? They come with a gummy, they shoot out a gummy stuff.
Paper, yeah, it's like a chew newspaper and seeds in it, and they just kind of spray it out there.
Have we learned anything from our surrounding towns about the efficacy and maintenance of just putting in the 2-by-2 foot ditches that the state originally recommended? They're just grass. Have we learned anything from that? And these huge ditches that we have that are also filled with large rocks, what is the maintenance for that going to look like? Because I noticed that within a year, they start filling with grass and ecological debris, so to speak, very quickly. how are those ditches, how can they be maintained anyhow?
Those are the state recommendations for grades over 8% of the stone line ditch, so that's laid out in your manual right there.
Though it's interesting, it can be the same road as doing this, and it has the large ditch filled with rocks on one side and not on the other side, though it's the same pitch, it's the same road.
I think they're still getting to it. It's a lot of work. You're talking about 4 or 5 person crew,
Years
66.
ago, but I don't want to belabor that. I'm just saying that, I don't think that the smaller ditches pose a road hazard. I don't think they're hazardous to pedestrians and bikers and cars. And they're all grassed, so I don't know what the maintenance could be of that, and it doesn't require...
Again, this is a case where the road crew wouldn't be looking to do a stone line ditch for fun. There's places where the grade requires it. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of material. They're doing what they believe the state requires. If you believe the state requirement is different, I guess that's a different discussion. But
Here at a select board meeting, Mike Gennady addressed that. And he just went like this, we just make them extra big so that we don't have to maintain them as often.
Well, the ditches in this road hadn't been maintained for roughly 200 years, I would say, going back, and so once we finally got, after a 10-year battle, a garage where we could accommodate the equipment that we needed, we've had, a lot of progress on recovering these lost ditches. So they are big at first. I drove around town looking at these this weekend, and most of the ones that have been dug have filled back in almost at 50% in a lot of cases. So in some of those cases, you'll see those ditches open up again. The ditch also has to have a flat bottom. That water can't pool in various places down the ditch. So, you can't say, okay, 24 inches here, 30 here, 35, back to 18. It has to be a straight shot for the water to travel. So that's what they're trying to achieve. And with our 66 miles of road, this has been a success story here in Shaftsbury, and we hear it all the time. But there used to be furious people at this table on a routine basis. And some people here haven't seen that, but all I can say, the roads in Shaftsbury are a huge success story right now for a small town to get 66 miles of dirt road back into shape the way they have. Last year, a huge amount of rain. Roads held up beautifully, right? I don't know what we're trying to solve here.
It seems to me that there are very different ways to look at the priorities, and that maybe we can together find ways to address both sets of priorities. On the one hand, there's the priority that Mike has been working with valiantly since he's been here, and he's sort of moved the roads into this situation you're talking about, which is the priority to really get functional ditches in line so that the roads drain their moisture and we don't have as much ice and we don't have as bad a mud season. The other priority is the safety of the driving on the road and the way that the trees then are sometimes undermined. And both of those are not really in contradiction, it seems to me, to Mike's priorities. The thing is, Mike is working with a set of priorities and a limited budget. I mean, although that's the largest piece of our budget, it's still a budget that he has to manage to get all of this done. So it seems to me that maybe as we go forward in this conversation, we can together balance the different priorities and try to be creative about how to use the money that Mike is allocating in ways that meet the safety needs that he's addressing, and also the safety and environmental needs that are concerning people who have been upset by this for a long time. Maybe this is a pie in the sky idea, but I do think if we all approach it with those understandings and keep talking, maybe we can really come up with some supportive solutions in which people are supporting each other's needs. Yes.
I wonder also, and I don't know this, but I know for a lot of other town municipal positions, that there are listservs and other things, and it's a way for, like, the town administrators to talk to other town administrators, and maybe there's a way for Mike to reach out to some of his colleagues, because I think that is an interesting point that Roberta made we're only as good as our region, and our region kind of lives on all of the kind of communal support of our towns, and we should be thinking about kind of things, and that maybe we can have Mike as part of this to reach out to ask about some of these things, because we don't know until we've asked. You know, if these look different in different towns, well, maybe it is, like Naomi has said, they have come up with different priorities that still are maintaining the road structure that needs to happen so that we can get the grants for, you know, getting the roads covered by the
That's
state's
very
regulation.
important, too. Yeah.
But yes, because we want to make sure that we continue to get that funding. But also, maybe they have come up with something that we just don't know yet because we have not imagined it or dreamed it, or just haven't had a conversation about it. So I think that should be something that maybe as our action item, to maybe have Mike reach out and then give us a report back on what things look like from other towns.
I'd like to say something.
Yes, Art, thank you.
So every year, the state sends down this document. It says you have 60 some odd miles of roads. All these roads meet state standards. And you, by signing this, you maintain that you are going to keep them to these standards by using the Better Roads Manual, so on and so forth. In exchange for signing this, you get hundreds of thousands of dollars. We have to have that kind of money. Every year that I signed it, I felt between a rock and a hard place, because there were things on that document that were not completely true. But I signed it because, first of all, we need the money. And secondly, I tried to, in the future, work towards correcting what I thought were some of the things that were not true in that document. One of the easiest definition of a Class 3 road is that any two vehicles can pass each other safely all 4 seasons of the year. There are places in Shaftsbury where that's not possible.
Right, absolutely.
And I'm not talking way out in Shaftsbury Hollow. I'm right within a couple miles of here. You've got Cold Spring Road and Madison Road. Now, people that have grown up on dirt roads understand a protocol and a safety thing. But over the years, I've seen people, if you see somebody coming, they actually step on it, try to make it through quick. So you have to stop. And God, if you're driving a truck, they even come even faster, because, I mean, to stop and let a truck through, no. So these restrictions, these choke points, I'm going to call them, are serious safety hazards. The trees are over the road, they're shaded, so if you're in the sunlight, you really can't see if somebody's in this choke point ahead of you, so on and so forth. These can be fixed. I mean, it's not insurmountable. They both are very serious safety concerns. But therein lies a problem. It requires cutting a tree. And I've been the recipient of emails, letters, and phone calls saying all the things that you would think I was Paul Bunyan that was going to clear cut Shaftsbury, some of the things they're accusing me of. In a lot of cases, we just are taking care of dangerous, and a lot of times dead trees. So what I'm going to say is that as long as we're intimidated by a few people that are making us believe that we can't cut their trees, when the state is very specific that we really have all the authority to do that, as long as you're being intimidated with that, you're actually letting a dangerous safety issue exist in the town. So now that we're talking about trees, I have what I'm going to call the poster child of a picture of a tree that is somewhat, it is a picture of a top half of a tree broken off, laying over, being caught by the branches below it, ready to come down on a road. If you drive around, you'll find a lot of this type of thing. Dead trees, huge limbs reaching out over the road, rotting, just waiting for the right thing to come down. Power was off on White Creek Road last winter for 15 hours because a tree limb came down on the power line. It wasn't that bad a winter, but if it was 30 below, it could have been a different story. Every year we have a budget for cutting trees, but I don't think we spend it all. And the state has mandated several times that every ash tree has to come down. Because once an ash tree dies, it's dangerous. It has to be taken down from the top down. You just can't fall it because they splinter so easy and that sort of thing. So I think we need to pay more attention to the tree work, spend the budget that is assigned to us, but again, another thing that we sat here for several years and heard about speeding. Everybody was complaining to us that there's too much speeding, so on and so forth. We actually did a lot of work. We actually did a survey on all the roads. We adjusted the speed to what was engineered. A person that was qualified to do it set the speed limits. We made sure that you didn't have two different speed limits on the same road depending on which way you went. This was all posted to the people and all that sort of stuff. And so we doubled what we are paying the sheriff, which takes effect July 1st. And we also bought a couple radar detectors, Road Safer. You start thinking about these choke points, these restrictions. You start thinking about things like this trees that need to be taken care of before they come down on something. And use your radar things to find hot spots that you can tell the troopers or the sheriffs areas that you can, because they have a recording on them. Again, I haven't seen them, and we have them, and that was the whole point of them.
Yeah.
I think if you're concerned about road safety, I think there are a lot of things that you should be considering.
Okay.
Sheriff's Department.
Thank you. I think there's conversation there about whether they've been put out.
I thought Dave put them out, but
Mike has them up the garage. They haven't been put out.
They haven't been put out yet, okay. So that needs to happen.
One of the concerns is that they have to be strapped to a pole or tree or something like that, which is really inconvenient because then they have to be taken down or the battery be charged and so on and so forth. So he's looking into a portable unit. That type of thing, so it can be moved a lot easier and all that type of thing. But, and in closing, I just want to make one other comment, is that Dave Kernan had a definite management style. He was a town administrator, but in reality, he was really the town manager. He was involved in the day-to-day operations of a lot of things. He micromanaged some things. As long as he could handle that, he did an excellent job, because look where Shaftsbury's come in the last 10 years. But he's gone. Paula's style is not that. You have departments that know what to do. They're run by qualified, knowledgeable people. You don't have to micromanage them, but you have to set priorities. Otherwise, they're just going to keep doing the same thing that they've always done. And without some priorities coming from this board, they don't have any guidance, because this is not Paula's responsibility.
Thank you. That's a great way to put what we're hoping to arrive at through this process. Yeah, thank you.
Weren't there 400 trees identified as dangerous?
Yes.
Yes.
I know it was a very high number.
Yeah, it was 400, I
That's a
think.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To take down. It
Yeah.
would take a long time.
And I think we were going to look at something from Green Mountain Power to help take them down because some of them were too big.
And a lot, some of them involved their.
Yeah, their lines.
Their lines
yeah,
and that
so
type
we've
of
been waiting for them to do that. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
My last question, I swear,
You can ask as many as you want, say as many things as you want.
regarding safety then and the size of our roads and the trees and the ditches and the shoulders and everything we've been talking about, are there any state regulations around the size of the commercial tractor trailers that are supposed to be routinely using these roads?
I don't think so.
There's no restrictions, only during mud season, if the town desires to impose a load limit, only during mud season.
Just something to think about.
I testified up in Montpelier because there was a lot of talk about big tractor trailers doing damage to the roads and that type of thing. And I actually proved that the town truck, the single axle town truck, is putting more weight per square inch or per tire on the weight on the road than a tractor trailer with 6 axles, multitude of tires, because the weight is spread out over longer time, longer area, longer distance, and over a lot more tires. So actually, each tire is putting less pressure on the road than the smallest town truck is.
Anybody else want to make more comments or raise more issues for us to carry forward on this? No?
I would say people were surprised to hear about this. A lot of people are very happy with the roads in Shaftsbury over the last specifically 5 or 6 years. So we do have to make sure that the tail doesn't wag the dog here and a small group doesn't speak for 3,600 other residents who are enjoying their access to their homes. There's times when people couldn't get home in the season, or you had to go to New York and come back into the road, or you had to be pulled out by a scooter. The roads are far, far better than they were.
I was one of them. When I first moved to Shaftsbury, I had a Mustang, and I couldn't even get up that little grade because, of course, I should have a Mustang in the winter anyway. But I couldn't. Yeah, it was rough.
Yeah, but of course, our democracy protects minorities as well as majorities. So and that's because they often have very valuable things to contribute to the process. Right? Okay. Did you want to say something more?
I do. I thought I had to sneeze though.
You have a sneeze?
I thought I had, no, it went.
Okay. Okay, so I want to suggest that we compile into written form from these minutes the questions that were raised, the points that were made, the things that need to be looked into, and the things about which there might be valuable conversation going forward, maybe in a official but less formal context than this, and that we create a second meeting on this within the next few weeks. Does that sound reasonable to my colleagues here?
I'm not sure what would the second meeting be about. Just bringing back more.
To follow through on discussions about the things that can be discussed, the points that can be resolved, to try to find some common ground, to try to, for both sides, to hear each other's concerns and maybe try to come up with ways to address them. Okay.
Great.
Yeah? All right. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
everyone, for coming and contributing to this. All right.
There's lots of thoughts.
Lots of thoughts.
I have lots of things I'm going to go look up.
Yeah. I think it's a big thing. Whew. All right. Moving along.
Just a phone number,
Okay, that's good to know.
not a name.
Okay, so, number 10, demolition of 43 Buck Hill Road. This is your item here.
Yes, it needs to be demolished. I need the select board's approval to start, not the process, I'm not going to take a crowbar myself, but we need to start making arrangements.
Talk about
after Joe does
micromanaging.
his training, that he hasn't given me a date for that yet. But it's time to arrange for it to be taken down. So I've spoken to Mike a few times about this, and we're working together to find, I think there's asbestos in there, so we need asbestos
Oh, no.
abatement people to at least see if, I have a little more digging to do here, but it will involve that. And then, I'm like, I'll call the people. He's like, no, I'll call the people. I'm like, I'll call the people. So we're calling the people and we're doing some investigating, and we need to find out for sure what's involved in the demolition.
Okay.
So I'm asking for permission to start that process, and as we go along, I will give you updates as to what we find, who we find to do it, how much it will be, and when the timetable would be. So I'm just looking for a green light to move forward on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to move forward on investigating the removal of 43 Buck Hill Road.
43 Buck Hill Road.
I'll second that.
I will add to
by
that
Mike.
the barn, I believe, because Mike and I spoke about the barn too. He put it up for auction and couldn't even find anyone to take the
wood?
The wood.
Really?
He got an offer for $25, but the person mistakenly thought it came with the land too.
Oh, gee. Oh, gee.
So I said, why don't you try putting it back? Just, we have a few weeks, put it back. Watch all these restoration, tear down and barn shows and
Right.
put it
Yeah.
up in Iowa. I mean, no one can use this lumber and re-mill it. Like, I'm baffled by this. So
Yeah.
I asked him to just put it on the auction block once more and see if we get any.
Where is he putting this on an auction block?
I don't know.
or-
Wherever
Okay.
they do that. I will get more information, but he had it up for auction.
Okay.
No one wants
Take
a.
any photos? Taking photos of that.
He did. I mean, that's part of the auction. So I have another I'm meeting with him weekly about this stuff.
It's been pretty well stripped already.
Okay. I
Really?
don't think there's asbestos in there.
There may be asbestos around the furnace area, but it's very small
Okay. We'll do them at the
In the barn you're talking about?
in the burn.
Okay.
It's been stripped of valuable lumber, is that what you're saying?
Oh, okay. All right. That's good to know. That answers the question.
It's pretty stark.
Okay. So I'll treat it as one, as kind of one. Like, who takes down one probably should just take down the other, especially if there's asbestos.
Okay, so then I think we want to redo that.
I don't know the address on that, though.
I don't know if anything has one. Okay, the second motion to investigate the removal of 43 Buck Hill Road and the barn on the town-owned property behind Cold Pond.
Good.
I'll second that.
And a second by Tony. Any further discussion?
I would say that, removing stuff like that never gets cheaper. So, if we want to do it
No time like
Right.
3 years from now, it'll be more expensive than it is today. So.
Right.
And I'm concerned about the liability in both
So we should make it a
places, but
region.
particularly
Yeah.
for
Everyone just get all their frustrations out and everyone take the building down.
I have a town
Yeah.
party.
Yes.
have a town
Exactly.
party.
Well, we have to take the asbestos out first.
Take the asbestos out first, and then everyone, one
Yeah.
at a time.
Could be
take the
like a
sledgehammer.
rage party.
It makes
A
sense.
rage.
That's what I said to Naomi, I said, we need a rage party.
They're very popular these days.
I know. Charge $5 each.
They're all the rage.
Telling you.
Yeah.
Any other comments or thoughts? Okay. All in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5-5, approved. Great. Go forth and do good things.
Okay.
All right, the Grandview sidewalk next steps. So, you all were at a meeting that I was not, about the issue of the Grandview sidewalk study, and I have my own someplace and I took notes, but I think there's two ways that we can move forward to the next step of this as a town. Right? One, and I think we are all in agreement that we want that to move forward in some way, right? So that people can not be stuck in this miasma for any longer. One way is that the citizens who would like a bond floated to pay for this can get it on the ballot, that bond, by getting 1% of the voting public signing a petition. Another mechanism would be for the select board to sort of use its authority.
10%.
10%, I'm sorry, not 1%. Yeah, thank you. Okay. They would need to get 10%.
Of eligible voters.
Of eligible voters, yeah. So, and the other way would be for the select board to use its authority to just sort of step in and say that we would like this to be on the ballot. And that's a decision the select board has to make about which way we're going to go with this. I want to say that in my thinking about it, but I'm just one vote here, of course. In my thinking about it, it seems to me that it would really be a very good thing to let such a large expenditure of money on a big project have as much democratic input as possible and not have the select board kind of step in and enforce the vote, but rather to let people build momentum for it by going through the process of getting signatures on a petition. But I'm wondering what the rest of you think.
I agree. I totally agree that I think because it's a town-wide expenditure and it's so expensive, I think that the people who are sponsoring this sidewalk proposal should be the ones going out to get a petition going. What percent? It's 10%.
10%. Yep.
So that's how many signatures?
I think it's around
150.
Yeah, I want to say it's around 200 signatures-ish.
Or if I guess 10% of the vote, registered voters. So.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the people there probably won't like that answer because it's work, but it will give them an opportunity to sell the project. I think if you just drop this on the town, it'd be a hard no, because it's just such a big expenditure that people aren't really tuned into. People, I think, would be surprised by it. So it just gives them an opportunity to spread the word. I realize that it's a burden. It'll take some organization. It'll take some legwork by some people. But if they want to get to a positive result, I think it's probably the better path.
And I think historically that has been how some bond votes have gone through the town, is with citizen petitions that then, build the momentum that then leads up to the vote that eventually gets passed in some cases, and in other cases it does not. And so I think you're right in kind of the democratic process being allowed to happen is this is part of it.
Is that how we got the sidewalks we have?
I would have to look back on that. I don't know if for certain ones. I know that there have been other votes in the past about.
I know like the tax exempt nature of the North Shaftsbury Community Club was a petition that, went around to the vote on removing that from the tax roll. It's different than, I guess, the bond vote, but some votes like that have been done by petition.
Can I ask, do you have a hard, fast number that you would go to the public for? I mean, my understanding is this is going to go maybe 5, even 6 years.
Yeah.
Do we know what inflation is going to affect and what the total number is going to be that the town would have to come up with?
So Dufresne Group did do kind of estimated budgets when they presented the scoping study, and
It was 600,000.
Yes,
I
we
want to
have an
say it
estimate.
was 600,000 for one part of it, and it was higher for one of the other views. And it didn't include the speed tables that they were looking at, which were an additional, I think, $20,000 a speed table.
Per table, yeah.
Speed table is approximately 35,000. That was a 2023 estimate. 805,000 total cost. I think the match was coming in somewhere between 120 and 100.
Right, 100, it was like 200,000.
Not more than 200,000, depending. She had it
I think there
projected
were several, there were several options, but there was a percentage, and it would also require us to go and get one of 2 grants that were coming out in January and or June of 2025, I think, for construction in 2026 at the earliest, I think, is the timeline.
Do you want to weigh in, Bev?
I mean, I agree, building momentum is probably the best way forward. People talk to their neighbors about it and tell them how important it is for them. Because we've heard firsthand
Yes.
how important it is.
We have.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, I think we have a consensus and we don't need a vote, right? We can just,
We have to notify them, though.
we definitely do, and we'll provide whatever assistance they need in drafting the language for the petition, as well as in going for the grants should the vote pass, I assume.
We have the study already. So, yeah.
And we'll need to talk to Marlene about the voting schedule and what the possibilities are there about timing for when that vote could occur.
Because it would likely have to be a special election to do so.
Before January.
Because of, I think, the time frame that got laid out both by Marlene, but also Dufresne Group had a kind of timeline of some things that needed to happen, and I'd have to go back and look at that document again, but there was some timing.
Special elections are expensive, though. We have to bear that in mind.
Marlene said that on a bond issue, there's a way that we can do a special election that gets held in her office, and we do not have to send out absentee ballots except to people who request them. So she anticipates that that would actually be not particularly expensive and not a lot of work. She thinks her office could handle it with a little help from the board.
Not a problem.
All right, so I guess I will write to the relevant parties to let them know, to let their neighbors know that they need to get working on that petition.
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you all. Replacement of methane vent at landfill. Paula?
Do you remember this?
Yes.
I don't really think I need the green light because the select board already greenlit it. last year, I just wanted to know, you to know that I'm picking up the ball and we're fixing it. It kind of fell off somehow. So I have a meeting Wednesday morning with Patrick Smart and MSK. We were waiting for state approval, and I found out that the state did approve the fix and the device that they're recommending to fix it. And then it's on us to find who's going to fix it, because again, it requires an expert, methane expert. We're going to need the experts.
Yeah.
But I went up and visited it. Mike drove me up there. You went up
So
and
did I,
visited it,
yep.
and you hear it ticking.
It's a scary little thing.
But you do smell the methane. I'm like, it's venting. It has to be venting. I can smell it. But I'm just, hopefully I still have the green light and we can go ahead and just get this done. And I don't know if you need to see, remind that I have little pictures of this is what it looks like and this is what it is going to look like.
The state originally approved the vent that was there.
And the vent that is there is not like a...
Mr. Pennybaker.
Right. It's not a...
engineering feat.
Copyrighted or whatever, the thing you do.
Yes.
Yeah, one of the reasons we need an expert to replace it is because removing it doesn't have set guidelines, because this was not a publicly circulated
powerful.
draft, right?
Evidently, it could blow at any moment.
Don't light a cigarette near it.
Yeah.
No smoking at the landfill.
It seems unlikely that it's going to blow at any moment. This is going to be replaced in due course. Do I remember right, Paula, that the reason it was that approval was delayed from Montpelier had to do with the floods, and that their office was actually flooded?
In the timeline, because probably other things did too. So it was a matter of chasing down emails, and then I reached out to Patrick, who said, I'm like, did we get the state's approval? And yep, we have it. And he sent me the email that he got in December, and I was like, okay, it was the missing piece. And
Good.
I found it. And I'm like, come down, Patrick. And Mike's going to be in the meeting too. Get it
Okay.
done.
So you guys, you and Mike are working on getting somebody.
We will be, after we talk to Patrick. We're going to get the ball rolling again, so we can get the worry off
Everybody's mind.
everybody's mind. So I don't know if I need a approval and a, whatever, because you already,
Since we already approved
you approved it last fall or last winter.
What?
Bill Pennebaker is like a modified genius.
He was a brilliant engineer.
Right.
A brilliant engineer.
He invented the JPEG?
Yes.
Pennebaker?
Yes.
Big part of the team, probably, but yeah.
Yes, I was one of the test cases for the first JPEGs.
And it did
my
last longer
first
than
job.
it was supposed to.
Way longer.
It should have stopped working in 2008. So
Wow.
I tip my hat to the gentleman who,
Yes, Mr. Pennybaker.
yes.
All right, so anything else people want to discuss about that? Okay, thank you. Go in good,
Thank you.
go in good health and
I love the
safety
project.
in your journey on this. Okay. Does anybody have any other business?
I do. Oh, sorry, Brad. Were you
No,
going to say
go
something?
ahead.
There's a water truck, a water department truck that is unusable. This is a 1990 Chevy truck sitting there in Mike's yard. And I would like permission for Mike to make arrangements to sell that, since we can't use it. But he says we need the water boards. Okay. So do we need a water board meeting?
For that, we need a water board
Okay.
meeting, so we should do that attached to next
Okay, next time.
select board
That's what I
meeting.
thought. Okay. That's all.
So,
Mr. Peacock.
for next week, I would start the discussion about a community garden, or at least some raised beds. Also, I would like to discuss putting a small refrigerator, or what I'm saying is the little free farm stand here, so that people who have excess vegetables from their gardens can bring them here, and so that people who are food insecure can come and get healthy food for their families. It's really important for me to see this through and make this happen. I think it'd be really a great thing for our community.
That's very cool. I think we should chat with the folks at the Robert Frost House and their Grow a Row program to see if we can partner. I know that they have received some funding, so it may be something that we, because they are also in our district, to collaborate.
Do you think you could talk with them between now and 2 weeks from now?
I suspect we could probably reach out to the folks. I think Erin Kenny used to be the person that was in charge, and I suspect is still, but we may need to send a few messages before we could figure out who currently is.
Yeah.
And I know they have a Vista volunteer sometimes that works for them too, so it's a whole operation.
Great. And I know, actually, in coordination with maybe North Bangton as well, they just got funding at Lake Perrin for a hoop house.
Very cool.
And where there's one AmeriCorps Vista person, there's often access to others.
Yeah.
We might want to get our own Vista. Okay, so you two are going to functionally act as a subcommittee in the next 2 weeks to investigate
Yes.
this?
We can investigate.
Absolutely.
And we'll look into it.
Just make sure, someone has to be like assigned the responsibility of making sure it doesn't turn into a heap of rotting food. So it has to be probably monitored on a pretty regular basis to make sure we're rotating stock.
I think we can get the volunteers to do that for sure.
But it should be delineated somewhere.
I didn't hear the
It has to be
first part of what you
somebody's
said.
job.
What did you?
It's somebody's has in their job description has to be maintenance of the refrigerator. Basically.
Make sure we don't have running
volunteers do
checks
it,
on it and
somebody has
stuff.
to
Oversee the volunteers.
Make sure it happens.
I hear you as being, as offering to do that.
Well, it has to be a town employee, someone who's.
Well, wouldn't it be easy if people are bringing in the food? Hey, this is rotten. Check it back.
No,
No, it won't happen.
no, it won't happen.
It won't happen.
Not with
No.
things that people are going to eat.
It's only once a week. I'll do it Monday morning.
It has to be a town employee who's
Well, she's a town employee.
volunteer. Well, whoever does it, it's fine.
Yeah.
Just
If it can only be once a week, or usually I come in Wednesdays too. How about Monday, Wednesday? I'll do
And
it.
then put a compost bin close by.
There you go.
What I'm saying
Thank
is
you,
right
Marie.
back into the job
Into the job
description of the
description.
assistant town clerk. That's the point I'm trying to make. It's not
One
just
more thing.
90% of what I do is not in my job description.
but it has to be there for the years to come. You don't.
Yes,
something-
exactly.
The swap shed is a great example of what happens. when
Yes.
something isn't
Well, if the swap shed's gonna be here all the time,
monitored.
then-
Even when it is monitored closely, it's very difficult.
And the more infrastructure we build around it in terms of rules of how it's going to go forward, the more likely it is to keep going forward.
The person whose responsibility it is free to delegate it. It's just that they have to be taking the task if there's a heap of rotting food in the town, Not that that'll happen, I'm sure this is going to do. You have to think about all the angles as a select board.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Martha. Brad, Mike. Okay. Review of action items.
I have them written down if you'd like me to read them out.
Yes.
So Paula's going to reach out to Dave Mance III about the trees and the danger trees. Yes. I don't know if their part-time summer employee DPW job is already on the website, but it's okay, brilliant, then we can say that. There was a thought to potentially look for a grant for a hydroseeder, just to kind of do a little research to see if that's out there. Compiling notes from the discussion and questions of our brainstorming of the state guidelines and road maintenance, to then inform our discussion in a few weeks. And I think Paula was going to reach out to Mike Yanati to ask about learning from other towns, just as part of that kind of compilation of notes and discussion questions. Naomi's going to reach out to the Grandview sidewalk folks. And Brad and I are going to get some information about a little free farm stand and the Grow a Row program. I think I got it all.
Yep. Who's going to compile the,
I don't know, seeing that Shelley usually compiles our meeting minute notes, I don't know if in the grand scheme of that, maybe she could.
perhaps Shelley could do that?
Pull
We
it
say
in.
into the
That's-
microphones for Shelley?
Yes, thank you, Shelley, for helping us with
And Shelley,
compiling.
with any questions, you can
Yeah.
call me. Okay. Great. Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn? Thank you, Mike. A second, Brad, thank you. All in favor? Aye. Are you in favor of
Aye,
adjourning?
I
Thank
do,
you.
yep.
Okay. Thank you to everybody.